Hello world. Hello collective. Well, today is that new moon and solar eclipse. Just getting some smoke. So I've just spent a lot of time meditating. I mentioned it in another video. It was more just me chatting, just riffing and rapping. But yeah, normally I would have like big plans for a day like today, manifesting, harnessing this energy. And instead, I'm just going back to my roots, the simplifying and deducing. Yeah, really going back to my Buddhist routes and reevaluating the Bodhisattva vow, liberation of all. Anyway, long story short, I was sitting down, really not to do a video, I was going to sit down to connect more again to my team, the universe, Buddha. And they kept drawing my attention to, like, what is it that we pray for when we're praying currently? What are we asking for? And I know for me, so I decided to not do anything to harness the energy of today. I myself, just for myself, this doesn't have to be for you guys, but for me, leaning into surrendering. I don't need to be in control anymore. Especially if I think about non-violence. This resistance, this friction. And it's something I really struggle with. Because on one hand, I don't believe in violence at all. I find violence sickening. But then there's like real life circumstances that kind of begs the question of like, well, under what circumstances do I think that violence could come out of me? And it's always in protection. But as I've been exploring kind of these subjects for myself, but Spirit was like, no, we need to talk about the types of prayers that are required right now for collective. And they were really drawing me to the Tibetan sand paintings. So if you're not familiar, these like beautifully intricate mandalas will be created very much like the Navajo sand paintings. Is it Navajo? Oh, I hate when I feel like I know, but then I might be wrong and I don't want to be disrespectful. But somewhere in the Southwest, there's also sand paintings. But what I love about it, especially coming from an artist perspective, I love the idea of dedicating yourself to something that's impermanent. They'll work for hundreds of hours on these things and display it for a hot second, and then all the monks come and they sweep it, and it's done. So with going back to what the collective needs, like what types of prayers. Now, for myself, I'll just disclose, I've decided that I'm going back again to my old roots of just really not praying for myself anymore. Just giving thanks for what I have in each moment and putting my prayers, just like my grandma did. I talk about my grandma all the time. She died in prayer, but she was always praying for people. She had a list a million long, and I'm telling you, that shit worked. So when I think about the state of the world right now, I think about the Bodhisattva vow, I'm like, oh yeah, I don't need to be praying for myself right now, even though sometimes I'm like, oh, but I'm like, no, I don't know. So I'm curious, I'm personally interested to see where Spirit's gonna take us with the prayer discussion, because like I said, I wasn't really prepared. I was really just sitting here to have a private momente with Spirit. But yeah, from my heart, to your heart. I really hope, collective, may you be blessed with all the right things, with just everything that you need. Maybe not what you want, but what you truly need, you know? And may your loved ones be safe and protected. So we'll start with that. And then we'll see what old spirits, what deck would we like to start with? Okay, let's start here. What kind of prayers are required right now? Also, before starting the video, if any of you have seen a couple of my videos the last little bit, my sinuses are just fucked. So right before I started this, I have the humidifier going, and I used almost a whole bottle of saline, and this nothing came out. So I feel like this is part of the message. There's something stuck. There's something a little bit Roddy Biscotti that's not moving. And okay. Yeah, something unmoving. And maybe we'll ask Spirit to it what that's about. Okay, so the first two out of the gate is sacrifice. I just finished watching several documentaries on the Tibetan monk scene and all the reincarnations of some of this one Rinpoche, and they were calling him, he was just reincarnated. He was born in 1990, 1996. Anyways, he's a younger fellow. He's younger than me, but when he was just a babe and they had discovered him, everywhere he went, there was these rainbows. And the brother had said, was kind of laughing, but they were like, yeah, Rainbow Rinpoche. And I really like that, so it's making me think of that. And with her gown, oh, and there's the clouds are made of flowers. Sacrifice. Interesting. Okay. And then the next one is stand your ground. And I love this because this is normally the 7 of Wands. But I love all those filaments of light. It's very, very detailed. And what I like though is that it looks as though he's facing the sun, but like close up. So like normally you get your ass burnt up, but yeah, this kind of 7 of Wands, I find this really beautiful. Oh yeah, hold on. Oh, I was in the lotus position a lot today. My knees are a little bit tuckered. Okay. Oof. Okay. Like with this stand your ground, I feel like it's more like remember who you are. Like there's something really empowered about him kind of claiming, standing before the great light and owning it. Like, yeah. Okay. Yeah, the rainbow. Yeah, there's something very angelic and very, with all this reincarnation. Okay, hold on. Perhaps some of you love Nepal, the Himalayas, Tibet, India. I personally would love to get there. I was gonna bike in Tibet at one point, and I never made it, just due to the political climate. But, yeah, I also keep hearing, where do you feel affinities for? Because, no, if you don't believe in reincarnation, this might be a bit of a stretch. For anyone who does believe in reincarnation, you know, we tend to have affinities for places that are connected to significant past lives for us. So for me, I'm really land-based, but like, I just know. I spent a lot of time in Tibet, spent a lot of time in Nepal, spent a lot of time in Mongolia, spent a lot of time in Japan. Japan I actually had a past life recall on, where I was a Buddhist monk there. Yeah, I saw this psychic once, a long time ago when I was about 15 in Swift Current, Saskatchewan. And she was like, "Oh, interesting." She's like, "You're a war baby." But not only that, she's like, "You've spent thousands of lifetimes fighting in battles, being a warrior." But she's like, "But you've spent thousands of years in monasteries," which is so true, because in my life, I've gone to join the army 4 times, which, thank goddess, I didn't follow through. And I've gone to join the monastery. And again, I keep saying, I'm like, we might just get back there. Okay, crown chakra. Yeah, the filaments of light. We have 1277. Okay. Prayers. The prayers needed right now. Hold on, I'm gonna do a big sneeze. Sorry, guys. I'm really, I've got Tiger Balm in my nose. I got saline in there. I'm really trying to, again, unearth something that does not want to come out. Suffering in silence. The suffering in silence is immediately drawing me to the phrase, "You can only keep what you have by giving it away." And what I was saying in some of my other videos, that when I want and wish truly the best for you in every capacity, it means that I can also receive that. So this suffering in silence, when we isolate ourselves, when we're in this singular of every man for himself, the internal gaze is really important, but it's really important to, I don't know, I'm really, guys, I'm so sorry if this is a snooze fest for you, but me revisiting, just, again, deducing things of like, what do I inherently believe in? And, you know, just kind of like the real baby basics of Buddhism too. It's like the fundamentals of generosity, like humility and generosity, to be humble in this world and to share what you have, even when you have nothing. The most generous people I've ever known have always been the poor people. I grew up both poor and affluent. My mom was really poor for many years before she finished her schooling. Yeah, I grew up real poor. And then my shitty stepdad, he was affluent, but man, that money meant nothing, because he literally is a sociopath, did terrible things. And it came with a heavy price, but also it was like just a ghost of a human. Like, do you know what I mean? It's like that money meant nothing because there's no soul, just terribleness. And yeah, not generous at all. Not generous at all. So I'm praying currently that my upstairs people, it's Saturday night, they get real stompy at the weirdest times. Oh, stomp a little bit less loudly, please and thank you. Yeah, suffering in silence. Yeah, I've always just found for my own life that when I'm suffering, the quickest way out of it is to be of service to someone else in whatever way that you can. So like right now, I've not been in a monetarily kind of position to help people, but I look at the ways that I can give back, you know? So, and that's really helped. Suffering can get very internalized in a very egoistic way, you know? To be like, my suffering is so great. It's bigger than anyone else's suffering. I plead the ninth to that. I've been there. So, okay. Crown chakra. Yeah, it's about elevating our prayers to really get out of this fear base, because and I say this with compassion, because so many of us are really experiencing terrible things. And when you're really experiencing terrible things, that puts you into very realistic, fearful responses of like, holy fuck, how am I going to feed myself? How am I going to feed my kids? How am I going to get out of this domestic situation? How am I, like, there's so many things that can be, illnesses. And if you're in the States too, like, you get a terrible illness, how the fuck are you going to pay for this crazy expensive medical bill? There's so many things that when you go into prayer to be like, okay, what? I want to clarify these cards, but with a different deck. What deck would you love? Okay, before we clarify, I just want to pull 3 Kimmies, old Kimmy K, because there's, something really here about prayer at this time. Prayer, manifestation, and again, I'm not saying this from a place of like, I still believe in dreaming, like dream your best life, but there's something here about like, again, the middle road, this fine tuning, not too loose, not too taut, dreaming big for yourself and really going full spectrum of beautifulness, but also like, I don't know, there's just something, I just keep hearing simplifying and deducing, not just for myself. I'm hearing this in a collective way right now. It's like, what do you really need? Like, the more that I keep having everything removed from my life, the more I see, like, I'm reminded of like, oh yeah, like, I'm okay, and I actually don't need that much. Oh, we got some real chuckleheads out there. Well, that's nice. Laughing is a good medicine. Yeah, we need more laughter. Okay. So, spirits, tell me about this prayer, this elevated prayer, what we need to be a bit more focused on. Empty room. The healer. The 3-headed snake on there too. I'll show you in 1 sec. Okay, one more card. Whoa, you just jumped up. Okay, the river. Okay. Well, let's give this a little read. Let's give this a read, because I feel like in reading the description of those 3 cards, Spirit will have a bit more of a mystery to unravel. Okay, so we have an empty room. Yeah, this kind of aligns with, like, at least for me, with the Buddhist kind of stuff going on. Okay, the empty room, the vortex, the abyss, the nothing. The empty room haunts us all. It is a universal and all too frequent feeling of lack, of wanting, of the craving to fill ourselves with something, anything. We too often attempt to remedy the discomfort of the empty room by any means necessary, leading us to a culture of more. Yeah. Ironically, the empty room is filled to the brim with potential, yet we perceive it as not enough. This card is a cry for patience, for sitting within the barren walls of not knowing, for awaiting true vision and purpose before attaching to what we should do next to save our outward appearance. Be with the nothingness. Be with the impatience. The empty room has immense power. Ooh, I just saw the empty room has immense prayer. Okay. Power and prayer. Let others wonder what you are doing. If you can settle into the magic of emptiness, you will soon hear its whispers of wisdom. I can attest, emptiness and silence is actually, again, as they say, it's like filled. There's, again, it's all in the detail. What you think is lacking is actually usually, filled to the brim. And again, asking yourself, why am I praying or trying to manifest this thing? Is it in my highest and greatest good? And if I weren't to receive it, what would that mean? In all the ways that you're struggling right now, what would it mean for you to fully surrender and to be like, I am just going to have trust and faith that whatever is the highest and greatest good of all, even if I don't, in my personality, like it, again, explore it and see your emotional reaction to it, because that in itself is going to tell you a lot, give you something to work with. A day of silence is a surefire way to harness the power of the empty room. The archetype of the empty room is also portrayed as the hungry ghost, always feeding and never satiated. I was talking about this in a lot of my other videos. Rahu and Ketu. Rahu being the head of the snake without the body. I've been saying we're in the time of Rahu, the bodiless snake, can't be satiated, just gobbling and gobbling and gobbling. How much stuff do we need? Again, and I've lost all my possessions. I've had house fires where I have had to rebuild in terms of the monetary so many times. And I was just thinking, this sweatshirt I got when I was boat building, and it actually came from a free pile. There was this church that if you showed up with a bag, and it was really great stuff because it was a lot of affluent people would donate their stuff. But anyway, I have had this hoodie now for 11 years. And I remember this woman that I dated for a hot second. She hated this hoodie. She wanted me to get rid of it. And I was just having a chuckle today because I was like, oh, look who's survived the longest. Look who's still here today and who's not here. She didn't make the cut, but this hoodie, and it's got holes, it's ratty as fuck. I love this hoodie. Even my belt. I've owned 2 belts in my life. One I pawned when I was moving to Calgary when I was 17 or 18. And I didn't have any money, so I sold it to my roommate for $20. It was beautiful. And then when I was 19, I was working for this construction dude. And I needed a belt. We were at this plumbing shop getting supplies. So I bought this belt. I've literally had one belt now since the age of 19. It's still going strong. Has a lot of memories in it. That's the thing, how much stuff do we need? You know? I don't know. Sorry, guys. This, I can already tell people are going to be clicking off left, right, and center. That's okay. Doopy doop. The healer. Where are you? There you are. 111. Okay, that's some Empress. Yeah, and it's okay, here, let me show you the card. Sorry, folks. So it's a 3-headed snake. And it looks like an eye and a teardrop, and then kind of almost like this sun again. It has all these rainbow colors. Okay. 111. Let's go, Daddy-O. The healer. The light worker, the gifted, the old soul. Though some claim the work of the healer as their gift and name it as their dharma, the force of this archetype is within everyone. It is our natural inclination to remember, to return to, and to reclaim that central and eternal life force from which we so easily drift away. In Sanskrit, the word avidya means forgetting. And it is said that this is the source of all suffering and disease. Yeah, we just forget. We forget we're the power, we come from the power, we'll return to the power. You know, whatever that Godhead is, whatever source is, you know. The healer's mission then becomes to move through the comfort of forgetting, through the veils of ignorance and denial, to reveal the radiance that already exists. The healer approaches this in multiple ways, from multiple angles, knowing the cycle of healing is not linear. It is a multi-layered and circuitous process, always leading back to its own origin, much like the Ouroboros. The wounded healer is not someone who was wounded and is now healed. It is someone who continues to courageously break open the self and ego as a means for deep integration. The image of the serpent is eternally tied to healing and medicine, both Western and Eastern. Study the serpent and its power. I've been talking about the snake a lot. Yes, we've had dirt-kicking snakes, but the more philosophical readings that I do, where we're following a mystery. Yeah, we're in the year of snake, Rahu and Ketu. Talk about it a lot. Okay, well, I'm seeing some real themes here. Let's go to the river. River, where you be? Oh, there you go. Okay, Bardo. Doop. There you are. There you are. The river. The stream, the flow, the current. There is a reason so many rituals of change and rebirth take place in the river. It is forgiveness embodied in physical form, without asking anything in return. That's important. It's about asking. It's without asking for anything in return. That's the prayer. Going back to the other question I had the other day of is something worth it if there's no benefit to us? If I'm continuously honest over the discomfort of myself and telling the truth, because the world does not like truth tellers, is it still worth it? Even if I don't get to reap the benefit of being a truth teller or coming correct or having integrity, you know? And this is what I'm hearing about the prayer. Yeah, pray not for yourself, pray for others, because what you want for others, you actually receive for yourself. You can only keep what you have by giving it away. You see what I mean? It's counterintuitive. The more harm that people do to you, the softer you need to get. Soft and open up. Double down on love. Quadruple down on love. Okay. The river washes away what is no longer necessary, smoothing over sharp edges and accepting all our mistakes and grievances. Once we step in, we are no longer in control. Exactly. How willing are you to let go of all control right now? Looking at your prayers, because what are your prayers about? If you weren't to receive something, how would you feel about it? The river carries us farther down the stream of transformation than we planned to go. Its waters have a special gift for reflecting back to us a new and dreamlike vision. Once the tears have passed, we see ourselves as we haven't before, with a little more lightness, grace, and fluidity. Keep in mind that you that stands within the river is the real you, full of deep emotion and potential, nothing to hide, nothing to judge. May you drink in the sight of your true self. The river is emotion. Yeah. When you are in its current, You will know it by the bursting forth of tears, laughter, song, despair. All the emotions flow in its currents. Yeah! You can only resist the river for so long. Eventually, it will pull you towards change, so you may as well get in with style and grace. I love that. Oh, I love that. Oh yeah, the river. Again, look at the rainbow. These filaments of light. And see the horse. That's your power. That's, yeah, I'm feeling a lot of empowerment. But it's like about, and with this, again, sacrifice. It's like, what are you willing to let go of? Sacrifice. And I'm really hearing it's like letting go of control. Letting go of outcomes. The crown chakra. Yeah, it's really about an elevated. And it's purple. It's doing a lot of work with old Saint Germain. The Purple Hearts of Flame. Well, to be honest, I'm not going to overcomplicate it tonight. I'm feeling, again, very simple and deduced. And I was not going to do a video. But I like this. And perhaps it'll make you, if anything, even if it irritates you, I love when things irritate me. That's my cue to start asking questions of like, why? Why is this bothering me so much? Why am I having such a strong reaction? And no one's here to say that you can't want and wish and dream up beautiful dreams for yourself, because we are creators, and that is part of our gift, to build our dream life. But as mentioned, we're in this time of the gobbling, bodiless snake. Consume, consume, consume. Gobble, gobble, gobble. And as seen, like, we're venerating hoarders. And to be honest, when I look at a lot of these billionaires and millionaires, they don't strike me as internally happy people. They don't have what I want. They may have the money. Like, money's great. Money does, afford you certain things for sure. But in terms of their inner landscape, nope, And I do really believe it's usually people who've really suffered. Well, there's two groups. You go through suffering, and then you continue the cycle of suffering by enacting it. And then there's a group of people who go through suffering, and you make it your life mission that no one experienced that. That that's your heart's desire, that there's just some things that no one should ever have to carry or experience or know. Okay. Well, that was just a quick check-in. Yeah. From my heart to your heart. That's it. I will be, focused on my prayers externally, and that includes you guys. All right. Good night.